My warmest welcome to everyone. So great to see you on this less than sunny day, but hopefully we've got lots of sunshine and brightness to share with you via the digital means. So thank you so much for joining us. Before we get going properly, there's just a few short points of housekeeping. I think we've alerted you already to the fact we're recording this morning in what's called speaker view. So most of the time, the majority of the screen is the person who's speaking. But if you're more comfortable with your video camera switched off, that's absolutely fine. I'm sure everyone's familiar with this by now, but if you could please keep your microphone on mute during the presentations, it'll really help the sound quality for everybody. Absolutely don't have it on mute when we're in our breakout sessions because we want to hear everybody's voices. During the morning, really welcome your questions and comments. You can either put them in the chat, and we'll be monitoring that and ensuring we address as many questions as we can, either now or in the follow-up. And I hope, I'd be surprised if you don't have lots of lovely questions today, because we've got a really amazing lineup all around culture, how important that is for us all, and how important it is for promoting identity and individual voices. It's important at any time, but particularly I think during these isolating times, it gives us a chance to reflect on our diverse culture and just how wonderfully liberating and enriching for us all when someone finds that voice and uses it well. So we're I know we all know this, but we are so lucky. We've got a myriad of fascinating voices here in West Yorkshire, and we'll be hearing some of them later this morning. But before that, it's great to share some thoughts with you on how we've been doing over the last few months. Thank you again to SWECO for sponsoring our series of member meetings. Allowing us to get together like this is a really fantastic advantage in our constrained times. So big thank you to SWECO. No question this year this year and a half has been incredibly challenging for us and for our communities at large. As members, your support for us to do what we do is absolutely invaluable, and it's a lot. Between April 2020 and March 2021, we approved almost 6.2 million in grants, which was allocated across 783 groups across Leeds, Bradford, Wakefield and some other areas. So in terms of cash out of the door during that financial year, it totaled 5.8 million. By December last year, we distributed more than the whole of the previous year. And we've learned that we're among the top performing community foundations in the country and have distributed more than any other foundation in terms of number of grants reporting their details so far on 360 Giving, which is a real point of pride. The largest grant was for 120,000 and the smallest just £120,000, the smallest just £167. It's a real tribute to your support and the energy and diligence of the team. So we'd like to thank you for that continued support. It was never more needed. We'd also like to welcome and thank our newest members, Dr. Stuart Manning and Hill Dickinson. Welcome. I'd also like to thank our longer term members who've stuck with us for many years now. And I'm just going to embarrass people with a quick shuttle through those names. Gary Shuckford, Caddick Group, Bruntwood, Matthew Wright of Yorkshire Property Charitable Trust, Harris Partnership, Sterling Capital, West Cork Properties, Kevin O'Connor, Richard Boothroyd, Paula Dillon, John and Nikki Cohen. Thank you. If you're not already a member and would like to find out more, of course, we're going to say, please talk to one of the team, how you can support our work with communities in West Yorkshire. In terms of the way we provide that support, some of you will have heard us talk about our theory of change and how we measure impact. Since we last met, we've appointed a new head of impact. Ilona, do you want to give us all a wave? Yay, thank you. Who's working to ensure our learning from previous grant making is well applied in new programmes and plans. And this slide, if I might, Michael, helps us demonstrate the way we operate. Yay, thank you. As you can see, the work that happens in the foundation is about raising and utilising resources and expertise that we invest into community organisations. That's that grey foundation that's at the heart of our theory of change. And those groups and entities on the ground, they're working directly with individuals, and it impacts on 4 key areas of focus. That's people being healthy and well, people and communities thriving and being safe, learning, working and being financially well. And then the final pillar, if you like, is people, experience and playing. This is the outcome we're going to focus on today. Thanks, Michael. That can skip off again. It's important, especially given our circumstances now, and a little bit unusual for a foundation like ours. But we have taken that decision to focus and highlight the whole individual, the whole person. How are they engaged, nourished beyond their physical requirements to engage, if it doesn't sound too fanciful, their spirit and their soul. So experiencing and playing is everybody's right. It's living rather than simply existing. And culture, heritage, sport, nature, and the environment all offer experiences that broaden people's horizons, add new dimensions to people's lives. But oftentimes, there are still barriers to accessing these opportunities. We've run a number of programs over the years that have helped people with experience and play, and I'm sure some people will be familiar with some of these names. Anne Maguire, Pears Youth Fund, Jimbo's Fund, Healthy Holidays, Wesleyan Fund, I Will, Leeds Parks Fund, the Leeds Fund. They've all supported thousands of people across Leeds, Bradford and Wakefield. But today we're talking about the Mohn Westlake Arts Education Fund. The Mohn Westlake Trust is a family trust that's been a real friend to this foundation and to Leeds. We've been thrilled to reach deep into communities with a substantial offer of funds, really engaging authentic voices and allowing them to express themselves loud and clear. And the team have been really inspired by some of the work generated through this fund at a time where arts and culture have really been hugely affected by the pandemic. We wanted to highlight a new fund supporting the sector, and particularly the young voices across the sector. I think all of us know Leeds has and Bradford have an array of world-leading arts organisations, buildings, celebrations, carnivals, festivals, theatre, performance, visual arts, instrumental, literary, much, much more. And in partnership with the Mohn Westlake Foundation, we've launched the Mohn Westlake Arts Engagement Fund in 2020 to support projects which are particularly focused on young people up to the age of 20 or young people up to the age of 25 with disabilities. And the fund has supported 9 groups across Leeds and distributed over £120,000. And we're joined today by 2 community organisations who receive funding, and I'm going to get straight on so they can talk about their projects, which is the point of today. So, first of all, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Jelena Zindovic from Space 2. I've known and worked with Dawn and Emma at Space 2 for many years, and it's great that this programme has been able to develop their portfolio even further. Jelena is project manager and is going to talk us through some of the project's highlights. And just as before I mentioned, if you do have any thoughts or comments, do pop them in the chat box and we'll pick them up either directly to events, or if you want to share them with everyone, please do. Jelena, can I ask you to take over?
Hello, hi. Yes, my name is Jelena and I'm project manager from Space 2. I prepared a little presentation, so if I can share screen with you, that would be absolutely fantastic. I've been disabled again to share, so can
Oh, you can now, Jelena.
Can I? Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so today I will be talking about space to engagement with young people, and Mohn Westlake has been absolutely fantastic to help us create two groups. Well, actually, create a new group, art group, and continue the delivery of children's choir sessions, which have we actually had children's choir from 2019. And it was so important to us that we actually needed some more funding to continue with this group. So before I start, I just wanted to introduce you to Space 2 and what we are actually about. So we pioneer award-winning company. We basically work on programs to develop community development and transform communities that we work with. So we work mainly in Gipton. So I don't know how much you know about Gipton, but Gipton is one of the most disadvantaged localities in the country, where children aged 15 and under account for almost 30% of the population, much higher than the city average, which is about 18%. Children living in child poverty is high in the area. So it's 40% against 23, which is Leeds average. And mental health is significant and growing concern for young people, as reported by NHS. So Leeds in general has a high number of young people who are suffering with mental health troubles. And it's much higher in a national average report in anxiety levels and low happiness, which obviously now going through the pandemic, we accept that to raise as well. So we do work on some really fantastic things to inspire people, to help their low self-esteem. And it's all about creative practice, visual arts, singing, filmmaking. We do growing as well, gardening projects, writing for well-being, and we work with schools. Previously, before we got this funding, most of our groups were based on different sites. So we didn't have a group that was practicing from Space 2 premises. We would go to schools. We would basically go to local community centers. And it's really important to say that as well, we co-create large-scale productions with the communities. We get children involved. For example, when we were doing our big plays in Leeds Playhouse, sorry, I was going to say Yorkshire Playhouse, we actually had local schools choirs. We had young people participating in dancing, acting. So this is a really fantastic opportunity for us to have young people in our studio doing something absolutely amazing. So I'm going to start with Space 2 Children's Choir because that is a group that was existing group from 2019. And I would say that it was really important for us to continue delivering. They are actually children from 8 to 12 years old. And they do singing, share performances with local people, and explore ideas and challenges through the songwriting process to build confidence, community, belonging, and emotional literacy. So I was going to mention that, we have worked with local children to create locally inspired songs that included the opening of the old fire station in Gipton. They are such an attribute to Space 2 that they're constantly involved in any event that we create, such as Light Night at the fire station, any galas that are happening. We had Christmas performances. So it's really nice to see this little group grow. And it's really important as well to say that we continue doing things through the pandemic. bless them. It's not the easiest thing to actually do singing online, because you're singing to yourself pretty much, because you can't sing as a group. But they carried on all the way through the lockdown. And on top of that, we actually were providing local children, local families with children, with creative parks. So every 2 weeks they would have all arts, from writing poetry, gardening. So we would keep them busy in that way as well. So this has been a very popular activity with local children. And for some participants, it has been a lifeline during the pandemic. And also, it helped them with any difficulties that they're facing at home. They actually meet every week during term time, and perform to local audiences. And they've been learning to compose songs. They've been working with an artist and a music teacher, Claire Rivers, and they worked with Boff Valley, which I'm sure you heard of, the ex-Chumbawamba. He actually created a little song that is sung about their choir, and they work together on the lyrics, on the music. So it's absolutely fantastic. It's not just about the music. We actually created a little music video as well with them. So to see them grow and to see them being really enthusiastic and wanting to be there, it's absolutely heartwarming. So I have the cute fact. I have a little song for you. Sorry. I'm gonna put a 1 minute video of them singing. This is just to win the points of cuteness.
We meet at the station every week at the end of the school day. Tea time treats, songs to sing and stuff to eat. With a fire station fire. Listen closely, we'll explain. Make it look strong and exercise your brain. And we sing that song again and again and again and again and again. I am the seed in a meadow. I am a leaf on a tree. I am a rock in a mountain. I am man and they are me. We are the rays of the sunshine. We are the waves of the sea. We are one in the million, together strong and free.
Okay, so you have to admit they're very cute, and this was actually live performance in front of the audience that Space 2 organized the Light Night event just before the pandemic, when we were allowed to all gather together. So from that, I'm going to move to our Space 2 Create for it is Young People's Art Club, and that is for 12 to 18-year-olds. So we have just started this, and at the moment we are working with the artist called John Knowles. It is a fantastic opportunity for young people because they're going to have, first of all, a year filled with the different art forms, working with different professional artists. We don't have much opportunities in the East Leeds area for people to, for young people to join art clubs and experience this. So it is absolutely fantastic that we got this funding and opportunity for the young people. So we want to develop a year-round arts program for young people in Inner Leeds. And it is all based in the old workshop studio, which is a Space 2 studio. So each term will be a different art form and a different artist. At the moment, we are working with Joe, who is delivering visual arts, and we are hoping to touch the issue on recycling, because we started working with Zero Waste Leeds as well, who had offered for our young people to get involved and basically decorate one of the glass recycling bins in the area. So what young people would do, they would actually sit down with Joe and design what the bin is going to look like, and then basically proudly have something that they will paint and design in the area, which I think it's absolutely fantastic opportunity. We are just at the moment trying to arrange logistics about it with recycling people, but that's something that's going to happen possibly in September. We have been doing as well pop-ups with local organizations just to recruit people. So we are working with Catch. We are going to have another pop-up with First Floor, Leeds Playhouse. So it's quite good to actually get the organizations that are working with young people, but not necessarily on the offer that we are offering to young people with this project. So yes, we do want to experience loads of different things. So it's going to be from making sculptures, creating film. I'm a practicing artist, so I'm going to be delivering animation for them. So touch a bit of everything. And I think there's going to be a poetry as well. And we're going to try to get choir, children's choir and young people's art club working together, where they can maybe create a film together, or young people can be inspired by the song created by the choir. So it is really, you know, I really hope, because this is a 3-year project, it's going to grow into something absolutely wonderful. So we have, we are hoping to get out of this, that young people will influence the direction of development and have their say about how this arts program is running in future. So it's really important for us to hear what they want to do, rather than just us arranging the timetable for them, because we want to create it something that is after school, something that is fun, something that becomes their safe social space as much as creative space. And obviously they will have fun, try new things, gain confidence, find their voice. We are hoping to take them on the trips, such as going to Sculpture Park or, you know, to local galleries, just to get them experiencing, you know, art in creative spaces, because some of these young people, being from a deprived area, have never visited galleries. So it's really important part of art practice. Obviously have make new friends, and we want them to create work that can be exhibited. We always create our old workshop into a gallery. At the moment we have an exhibition on, so we want them to exhibit their work, see the opportunities if they can actually be seen within a community as they're doing something positive and creative. Meaning, even if it is a recycling bin, I think it's a really kind of a beautiful thing to actually pass by and be proud of. So we're going to be working, for the first year, we're going to be working with 4 different artists, try loads of different art forms. And, you know, mainly it is, you know, important for us for them to have fun. We just kind of, here I had put some pictures of work created, but also work created before, because previously we had to go on school premises and it was very restricting to actually, you have to follow the school timetable, you're on their terms, and you know, it just prolongs the creation of the art projects. You would go in for an hour, which is not enough to actually relax and create art. So the difference of having them actually in our studio, where they have 2 hours each week, where they can actually sit down, talk about it, think about it, it's making just absolutely fantastic, fantastic difference for us. And it is, you know, it has brought a whole new dimension to Space 2. And we are really proud of them. We are really, really proud of them. And especially like with Children's Choir, even our partners are constantly asking if they would, if they could sing at their local events, you know, because they know it's actually quite much easier actually to get community choir, and be proud of the community choir than actually chasing the schools to actually do something. So it is altogether exciting times for Space 2, and for the participants, and we are all very, very pleased with the funding and the projects. Thank you.
Yelena, that's so great. I mean, my goodness, talk about cute factor. I think that I think you've absolutely nailed it there. I can really see why the your fellow projects are really keen to grab the choir. So you heard it here first, guys. If you want to see if they're available, um,
Contact.
yeah, go on the waiting list. Oh, it's really great to hear that kind of chance. I mean, it's in your name, isn't it? Space too, but I mean to provide space, that time and that physical space for those youngsters to be able to really expand into their creativity and discover what it is that they're looking to do, and tell you and start to direct how the shape of it should be. I think that's just brilliant. I haven't spotted any particular questions so far, but perhaps what we could do is hold them. Aha, there is a question there from Emma. How many children can you accommodate in the art club? Sorry, Emma, do you want to ask your question direct?
Yes, I can do. I don't know if I missed that in the presentation, but I wasn't clear how many. It would just be interesting to know how many they're catering for every week, on that two-hour slot. And then the other thing I wasn't clear, I just wondered whether there's a consortium of partners that are funding the art club, or whether Mohn Westlake has funded the whole of this first year.
Well, basically, because of the COVID times, we have 6 spaces for 6 children face to face. But both groups, we are giving an option to join via Zoom, meaning that even the kids that usually join face to face, can actually access in case they're self-isolating, which proves to be more and more often every day. So at the moment, like I will have 2 girls today, for example, joining via Zoom. But it as well gives us the option to have more people involved, more young people involved. Sorry, yeah, I think this project has been fully funded by Mohn Westlake, and it is a 3-year program, which we are really, really excited about.
Brilliant, thank you, and thanks for your question, Emma. Brilliant. Let's move on now, and I'm delighted and honoured to introduce someone whose career I followed for quite a long time, actually. Balbir Singh from Balbir Singh Dance Company. I think, Balbir, you're going to tell us a little bit about your journey, but certainly your sort of chance discovery of the kind of language of Kathak and the North Indian dance form has led to an astonishing career and body of work, engaging a wide diversity of artists and performers. But I think you've got some really super focused work that you're going to share with us about your project with young people this morning. So over to you.
That's great, lovely. Thank you, Kate. And thank you to Mohn Westlake for allowing the project to happen. So I'll just talk a little bit about myself and the company first of all. Bradford lad, and the company is based at Yorkshire Dance in Leeds. I was trained at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance initially, and from then went on to engage with classical Indian dance, and in particular a style from the north of India called Kathak. And long story short, where we're at the moment is we have, as a company, 4 strands of work that we loosely all work falls into. And so we have Celebrating Age, which is working with older artists, mainly artists 70 plus. And then we have An Appetite for Dance in terms of engaging new audiences with work. And at the moment, we're touring a piece called Love and Spice, which we're performing in rural settings tomorrow and the day after in Cumbria. which has a chef cooking on stage, which actually came out of the idea of conversation with Bradford World Curry Festival, who wanted me to come up with an idea for that. So the concept around that, just as an example, is there's an elderly couple, one has lost sense of smell and the other has lost sense of taste, and they're trying to revive those senses with Annapurna, who's the goddess of food and nourishment, and there is a chef cooking on stage. So for an audience, smelling those spices and having empathy with sense of smell and taste makes it real as a piece around food. So that's one example of an appetite for dance, and engaging new audiences and food, a nice way, bringing people together. So we serve food as well. Sport and art is another strong strand of work that the company delivers. And this began in 2012 with the Cultural Olympiad, where we did a large scale project. We're in a swimming pool with synchronized swimming clubs across the country with dancers and musicians, in terms of sport and art coming together, and synchronized swimming not being a first past the post sport, with a whole choreography and aesthetic judgment as well as a musicality. So that was the beginning of my engaging with sport and those audiences. And over the years, it's how we cross migrate audiences from one type of work to another. And our work we do features very strongly with a community and extensive outreach program, and also young people performing in the work as much as we can as well, to integrate in those casts as such. And then we also did some work on ice rinks and working with ITV ice skating champions as well. The two productions, one was Peacock Lake, my version of Swan Lake, with the swans killing the peacocks, killing the swans and taking over the lake. It was child friendly. And then we did a recent one around John Curry, who won the Olympic gold medal, and we brought a number of skaters across the world together to celebrate his work, and I found a narrative through that. And then we've done work with Keelan Phillips, who is a Euro BMX cyclist. That work came out of the Tour de Yorkshire. So this is the examples of the strand of sport and art. And then most recently with Magna Museum in Rotherham, we created an environmental work called The Boy with the Rollerblades, with a Olympic ice skater who also rollerblades. And the concept behind that is all the ice in the world is melted, and so he can no longer ice skate, and he has to rollerblade to try and discover the ice and reverse the melting of the ice. And we engage with a number of Rotherham schools and having that performance take place in Magna. So celebrating age, older performers, an appetite for dance, engaging new audiences, sport and art, and then we have the classical revisited in terms of how we modernize classical Indian stories and tales in different ways. So those loosely are the four strands of work that we present working in terms of in different settings. We work from libraries to outdoor settings, to festivals, to theatres, site-specific work as well. And so the work that we do is quite rich and is about diversifying and engaging different disciplines and different artists, and also finding different ways of connecting people. And there's a lot of learning that happens in the studio, or the themes that we use and that we draw upon in terms of the work that we do much broader with children and young people, and how they feed into that as well. So that's a loose sense of it. So we, during the lockdown, we stayed very open, and people talk about the importance of the arts, and that's when we felt as we needed to connect with our audience with the lifeline of the arts as much as possible. And one of those was through the Mohn Westlake funding with the particular project I'll talk about in a moment. So we worked with Allerton Primary School in Leeds, and we started working with them in December. It's a school which has over 20 languages spoken in it, and they were wanting to look at something to do with language and unifying these languages, or other ways of finding communication. So new ways at looking at conceptualizing language. With the classical Indian dance style, there were 7, there are now 8 classical Indian styles of dance. And the style in particular that we used for this project is from the north of India, Kathak, which is sometimes referred to as the cousin of flamenco, with the gypsy connection between space and India. And it's a style with a mix of 2 religions, the Hindu religion with storytelling about different Indian gods through temple dance. Then with the Mughal invasion of India, they brought a Muslim influence to it. So the Hindu and the Muslim religions combine with this style of dance. And it's, in some cultures, there are no 2 separate words for dance and music. There's just one word that describes both. It's a very holistic approach. And with the classical Indian dance style, it's very much an oral tradition of learning. And by that, what I mean is, it's not a case of watch the movement and do this movement. It's a case of sit down and learn how to speak the dance first of all. And then once you understand it, then you place it in the body. So it's a very different approach. And your voice is your first instrument in Indian music. And so it's through the voice, the oral tradition, that we learn the dance, first of all, and communicate. So dance and music, there is a language for the dance to describe every single movement you do. And then there is a language for the music, mainly a percussion instrument, tabla, from the north of India. A bit like the piano, C, D, E, do, re, mi. There is this language where, depending on where you strike the instrument, and it's very rap and very poetic like. And so if you combine the language of dance and the language of music, you get the language of rhythm. And so with Allerton Primary, a school who are wanting to explore language and different approaches to language and how to bring together all these languages that were spoken in the school in an equalizing way, we brought in this concept of the language of rhythm as our main focus to work with the groups there. So we also brought in Braille and also Morse code as some elements of it. And I'll just take you through it very quickly so you understand a little bit rather than my just talking about the whole thing. So we had a rhythmic phrase. I'll very quickly speak it. Digida digida te, digga digga te, digida digida te, digga digga te, ta teya a teya ta teya a teya diggy 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 ta, ki te. So it's rap, it's nonsense syllable, it means nothing in one sense, but it has a nice poetic quality. It's bringing together this language of the dance and the language of the music. So this was the backbone of our introduction to the work we were wanting to do with them. It could be very dry, spoken as a sentence, without any emotion behind it, but we gave them examples of how to communicate using this and drawing upon this, and a different way of using the voice to learn as well. And so we broke it down to digida digida te, almost like an exclamation mark. You're making a very strong point. Digida digida te. And then the second part of that digga digga te was like italics, a very soft voice. Digga digga te. So digida digida te, digga digga te. Then 4 lines. Second line was ta teya a teya ta teya a teya. A nice flowing something. And this, we gave it a question mark at the end. So they had to say it in a questioning kind of way. Is it this or is it this? Ta teya a teya ta teya a teya. And then the third line, diggy 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 diggy. It's almost like a secret. You're trying to share a secret with someone. So you're saying, you're trying to tell your best friend, come and listen to the secret that I've got that I want to share with you. So very almost mischievous, like diggy 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 diggy. And then to conclude, the fourth line, we have to be very serious to make sure we finish at the right time. It's very rhythmically precise, very mathematically precise. So almost like a judge in court passing a sentence. Ta, ki, ta. The strong full stop at the end. So this is how we kind of broke it down for them to think about how they can vocalize and speak in different ways. And we then got them to engage with each other with these nonsense sounds or syllables or this language of rhythm to find their own ways of having a dialogue or a conversation in different ways with that as an example. We also introduced the Indian god Krishna, who is shown playing the flute, the bamboo flute, and he wears earrings and a beautiful golden necklace, and he has a peacock feather crown, feathers of a peacock on his head, and he's a warrior going to battle, and he's also a very strong and noble god. So we introduced this idea, and then we placed the rhythmic phrase within this sequence of movements to do with Krishna. So digida digida te, with a peacock feather crown into the flute, digga digga te, digida digida te, digga digga te, and the earrings, ta teya a teya, necklace, ta teya a teya. And then he was also a small boy herding the cows in the field with a stick, diggy 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 diggy, god, ta ki ta. So we gradually introduced this, and it was not only about them looking at language in a different way, but how they can use language to learn dance as opposed to write. I'm here to teach you some dance, learn this movement. So for the school, it challenged that they have done a lot of dance before, but there was a nice quote from the head teacher, Joy, who said, and I'll quote, "It opened our eyes to the intricacies and challenges of Indian dance." And again, it was bringing a different way of getting them to communicate with each other, as opposed to having all these different languages. Everyone was using the same language, the language of culture, the language of art, and at the same time finding movement that works within it. And you also have the rhythmic sequences that you do with the feet, usually wearing bells on the ankles, stamping on the ground. So we broke it down rhythmically, and also body percussion in terms of clapping and stamping and clicks and different sounds. So it was a very rich project, begun in December with taster sessions and then Zoom sessions, then face-to-face. And we're finishing off with a little bit more work We also had the Leeds Beckett University students come in and engage and do some filming as well. And they edited together a short animation. So as well as our delivering the dance, they did some illustration and some drawings, and they did some audio recordings of the work as well. So they took it back to the classroom, and then the Leeds Beckett students, they took that away and they created a small animation. So I'll show you that, we'll show that shortly, which uses their voices and also their drawings, which are then animated and put together in the sequence in a different way. So it's been a very richly rewarding project, especially for us, especially through the pandemic, and also how to effectively use Zoom technology and it being very flat and no audience energy there as such, but become more confident and versatile and friendly with that. And at the same time, the engagement with the teachers. So we're not just parachuted in to do something and that's it. There's a lot of learning left with the teachers to take the work forward at the same time. It's important to spread the art and engage in different ways. So that's a loose sense of what the project is, and I'm happy to answer more questions around it. So we have a short film to show, if someone is able to show that. It's about a minute long, of the Leeds Beckett University students and the animation that they created. Great, thank you. So this is now an installation in the school alongside some other work that they've done, and also other forms of greeting and communication as well. And on the 5th of next month, we're also doing a performance for governors and parents as well, and other VIPs as such. So it's the relationship with the school is totally new for us, and it's important for us also to be working in Leeds as well. And the school was very open and very receptive to it. They felt that their students do a lot of dance and they're very confident with things, but we took them on a different kind of journey in a different way with how you can perceive and understand dance and how you can bring different cultures together and how you can make them feel confident using the principles and the essences of learning a cultural art form in a different way, and how they can use transferable skills to take to the classroom and other things that they do with that. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Balbir, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I think a few people are clapping the animation as well. That's great to see. My goodness, what an interesting take on that kind of idea of holistic communication. Especially when you've had so many elements sort of stripped away, trying to do that through Zoom and through this sort of virtual mechanism. But then to layer on all those those richness of experience in terms of sensory, sound, yeah, and then the visual arts side of it as well. Fantastic. Somebody asked, sorry, yeah, I think it was Jess actually asked in the chat if some of the links could be shared with some of the things that you've talked us through, and I'm sure we can do that afterwards. But certainly I've learned so much there already. And I think that's probably giving us a very good, yeah, thanks Rachel. We'll definitely follow up with email. But I think that's probably given us some food for thought for the breakout rooms, which I think is what we're about to do next. But definitely if there are particular questions for Balbir, or indeed for Jelena, if you would like to let us know, we can happily forward those on. They don't have to be done through everybody sharing them here. I will never ever listen to something that says didi 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 in the same way again. I'm definitely going to use that. Yeah, and ta ki te. Yeah, I feel like this is going to give me great power. Thanks so much. just looking at timing, I think we are going to have to move into the breakout rooms now, if that's okay. So I'm going to ask Rachel and Michael to do your magic. People, if you could join your breakout room and share your thoughts. It'll be lovely to see you after the break. Thank you very much. Welcome back. It's that sort of back in the room moment. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for making that all so easy. I must say, this this whole process of Zooms and breakouts and all the rest of it, I know it's getting more familiar to a lot of us, but it's still not quite the same, I don't think. So we have reached the end of our session today. Really appreciate your time and engagement and participation. Sincere thanks to our sponsors, Sweco, who have made this series feasible and possible during this very difficult time. If anyone is interested in sponsoring our future series, please do get in touch. I know Rachel will be delighted to hear from you. I think it's been incredibly enlightening and helpful and inspiring to hear what's been happening. Thank you, Jelena and Jelena and Balbir. I really appreciate the time you've taken to give us a flavour of the projects that you're working on with those youngsters and those amazing ideas. It's exactly that kind of complexity, richness and variety that we all hope is going to happen for our kids, and that is what you're delivering. So thank you so much. I'm sure all of us are going to leave much more informed and inspired than we joined this morning. So I do hope that's a tonic for everyone today. If you're not yet a member and would like to know more about how you can support your local community foundation, please do get in touch. I'm duty bound to say, please do tweet and talk and social media about this morning, and particularly the work that we've all shared. I think it'd be great. I know we'll do a follow up with a hashtag and so on in the follow up email. Our next supporter event is in September, Thursday the 16th, so do hold that date in your diary. We are crossing everything that one might just be in person rather than online. So much more details to follow up with all of that and the recording and so on and so on. But really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much and have an amazing rest of your day. And thanks again for the support that you give to the foundation. We value you so much. Thank you.